Hello friends, welcome to Learner's Planet. Friends, this is our first session for Quant Workshop. In this session, we are going to discuss concepts and problems from Quant section. And before coming to this workshop, you should attend all the basic sessions of Quant, advanced session as well as final prep sessions, right? So you feel yourself comfortable while attending this workshop. And once again, the strategy will be same. You just see the question, pause the session and try the question on your own, right? So this way you'll be practicing with me. And apart from that, you must be having the basic knowledge of all the topics, as I've already told you earlier. And you must be able to play with fractions now, because good number of questions based on quant are nothing but a game of fractions. Okay, so you should be clear with the concepts of fraction, arranging them in ascending descending order, like percentage to fraction and fraction to percentage conversion and all that. Okay, so let's begin this session. Have your paper and pen with you so you can start practicing and start doing the problem right with me. Now friends, when we are doing this session, our concentration will be on two things. Both the things are very important. The first is time, obviously, and the other is space, right? In minimal space and minimum time, you should be able to do the problems, right? So as far as possible, do the mental calculation to save paper and time, both, okay? Because both of them are limited in your exam. Now let's try this question. A solid metal sphere is melted and smaller sphere of equal radii are formed. 10% of the volume of the sphere is lost in the process. The smaller sphere have a radius which is 1/9 the larger sphere. If 10 liters of paint were needed to paint the larger sphere, how many liters are needed to paint all the smaller sphere? Now it's a big story, but the problem is very simple. Right now you should be very careful when one body is converted to other body, right? When body is converted to other body, shape doesn't matter, whether it is conversion from a sphere to cylinder, cylinder to sphere, cube to cuboid, cuboid to cube, or maybe any other, right? The volume remains same unless until it is mentioned that any loss of volume is there. Volume will remain same, but obviously there will be a change in surface area, right? So be careful about it. Volume will remain same, but surface area will be changed, right? Particularly in this case, in this conversion from the larger sphere to smaller sphere, 10% of the volume is being lost. Okay. Now, whenever you have to find out the number when one body is converting to the other, right? This maybe in this case, this large sphere is converted to the smaller. Then what you have to do to find out the number of small spheres, you divide the bigger volume by the smaller volume. Here, the important thing is this is a sphere. So volume formula for the sphere is 4/3 pi r cube. Right? Here only r is the variable. 4/3 pi is a constant. So you don't have to write that. Right? So r cube, suppose the initially the radius is capital R, right? So volume will be r cube, right? Now what is happening in the conversion process? 10% of the volume is being lost. That means we are left with 90% of the volume of the large sphere, right? So actually it is 0.9 r cube, right? That is the data that we have to calculate. After that, to find out the number, we'll be dividing this. This is the volume that we are having, and to find out the number, what we will do, or what we will be doing is divide it by the volume of the smaller spheres. Right now, what is the radius of the smaller sphere? That is r by 9. Here it is r, and now it is r by 9. Okay, so it's r cube by 9 cube is to be taken into consideration. Okay, 4/3 pi is a constant, so in the numerator and in the denominator it will be cancelled. Okay, so total number of small sphere is 0.9 into 9 cube, right? This is the number of small spheres, right? Now the next thing is here 10 liters of paint is needed to paint the larger sphere. Now what is the where do we paint? Actually on the outer surface, right? That means in this case we have to take the surface area into consideration, right? What is the formula for surface area of a sphere? That is 4 pi r square, right? Now what we can do, we can find out the ratio of surface area of both the spheres, right? Now the smallest sphere will be having the surface area as 4 pi r square. R is what? R by 9. And the larger one will be having 4 pi, r square by 81, and this is r square, right? So what is the ratio? That's 1 upon 81. That means the larger sphere is having the surface area 81 times the smaller sphere. That is in comparison with the, if we compare with the one sphere only, one small sphere. But how many spheres we are having? 0.9 into 9 cube, right? So 0.9 into 9 cube. And surface area of each of the sphere is 1 upon 81 times. So paint requirement will be 1 upon 81 times of 10, right? Because 10 liters of the paint is required to paint the larger sphere. So that's pretty simple. 9 raised to 4 by 81, that's 9 raised to 2, that's 81, right? So 81 will be the correct choice. That means 81 liter paint is required to paint all these smaller spheres. Okay? I hope you are getting me. Now, the sum of a number with more than 2 digits and its reverse is always divisible by, right? Any number can be written as 100x plus 10y plus z, and reverse of this can be written as 100z plus 10y plus x, right? So if we add them, we'll be getting 101x plus 20y plus 101z. So that you can see it's not at all divisible by 9, 101 and 99, right? So it's none of these, right? But if you see about difference, right, this question is over, but in continuation with the discussion, if I find out the difference, then what happens? Just see 100x minus x, that's 99x, 10y will be cancelled, and that's 99z, right? So a 3-digit number, when it is deducted from the number that is obtained by reversing its digits, is divisible by 99, right? That means both 11 and 9, right? And if we divide this difference by 99, we get the difference between extreme digits, right? XYZ, and other is XYZ, right? So XYZ, this number, if it is deducted from this, the difference will be multiple of 99, and if we divide that difference, see here difference is 99 x minus z, if we divide this difference by 99, we'll be getting the difference between extreme digits. You can very well take the examples of 495, 594, right? 347, 743. Here always 347 and 743, the difference will be multiple of 99, right? And how many times it will be multiple of 99? It will be 99 into 4. That is the difference between the extreme digits, right? So you can learn to play with numbers by these small experiments, right? If it is a 2-digit number, xy, then yx, the difference will be multiple of 9, and if we divide that difference by 9, we'll be getting the difference between the digits. You can very well take the example of 3663, right? If you deduct 63 if you deduct 36 from 63, the difference will be multiple of 9, and 9 into difference between these two digits, that's 3, will be actually difference between these two numbers. Okay, so these are the small things. Apart from that, if you add a 2-digit number with the number that is obtained by reversing it the digits, that will be multiple of 11, right? That's 11x plus y, right? And if you divide that addition by 11, you'll be getting sum of the digits. Okay, so these are the small things that you should be knowing. Okay, because direct questions are never asked, the twisted questions are asked in CAT. Okay, based on these concepts. Okay, now let's try the next one. Now friends, let's try this question. Here we are given the value of x and value of y, and 7y by x we have to calculate, and all the options are in the terms of a and b, right? So if you put up the value of x over here, then also you can solve. But the easiest solution will be what? If you put up the comfortable value of a, b and c, right? But while choosing the comfortable values of a, b and c, do not take the identical values, because in that case some of the options are eliminated but then also you may be arriving at the wrong answer, right? So what I do, ABC, I take 1, 2, 3, and I'm not taking negative values because to play with negative is also not that good idea, rather to play with the positive numbers. Okay, now ABC is 1, 2, 3, so X will be what? 1 upon 3, right? And Y will be X, I write 1 upon 3. Y will be 3 upon 3 plus 1 upon 3, that's 3 plus 1 upon 3 is 10 by 3, so Y is actually 9 by 10, right? We need to calculate 7Y by X, so that's 7 into 9 by 10, and by X, that means it is 3, right? So we should be getting 7 into 9 into 3 by 10. Okay, and by putting the values of ABC as 1, 2, 3. Now let's put up the values of ABC quickly into the options. Now the important thing that you have to see over here is the numerator and the denominator are co-prime to each other. No cancellation is there, right? Now in the first option, if you see 7AB plus AC, that means the denominator is actually multiple of 7, but we don't have any 7 over here, so it's wrong, right? Then in this case, C into A plus B plus 2, right? So C is what? 3. 3 into 3, 9 plus 2, 11. So once again, wrong. Here it's 9 plus 1, 10. The same thing is there. So denominator is correct. Now let's see the numerator. A plus B whole square. 21 into A plus B, that's 3 square. So 21 into 9. So this is the correct option. Now this and this are quite far from each other, and we have arrived at the correct answer. Okay, so that's the matter of seconds only. Less than 40 seconds you can solve this problem if you go this way, right? If you take up the comfortable values of A, B and C. I hope you are getting my point. Now a number is written as 101 with base 3. How will its square be written with base 3? See, how to multiply the numbers which are not in the base 10. I have already discussed in the basic reasoning sessions when we were discussing binary number operations, right? So you can attend the same session if you are not clear about it. So in that particular session, I have already discussed how to multiply two numbers which are not in the base 10, right? Here 101 square we need to find out in the base 3. So 101 into 101, right? In the base 3 we just have 3 digits, 0, 1 and 2, right? So 1 into 1 is 1, 1, 0, 0 and 1 into 1 is 1. The multiplication will be same as we are doing in the decimal number system. Here it is 0, 0, 0, 0. Here it is 0, 0. Then 1 into 1, 0 and 1. Now this is 1, 0, 2, 0, 1. As simple as that. Okay. So 1, 0, 2, 0, 1. That will be the correct answer. Okay. Now, do you know what exactly 101 in base 3, what is the value of 101 in decimal number system? See, in the base 3, 3 is actually 10, 3 square that's 9, and then 10 square is 100. That means 9 is actually 100 in base 3, right? So 10 will be 101. That means 101 is actually 10. So square of 10 in decimal number system, what will be that? That's 100. So that's actually 10201 is nothing but 100 in base this decimal number system, that is 10201 in base 3. That means if you convert this number to base 10, it will be coming to 100. Okay, and how do we do that? It's 1 into 3 raised to 0 plus 0 into 3 raised to 1 plus 2 into 3 raised to 2 plus 0 into 3 raised to 3 plus 1 into 3 raised to 4. So this is 81 plus 18 plus 1, right? So that's 100. That's actually not necessary, but since this is a workshop, I'm just discussing the concepts and fundamentals also behind this. Okay? I hope you are getting me. Now friends, let's see this question. Problem based on time, speed and distance, and the relative speed concept has been used over here. The distance between two stations A and B is 230 km. Two motorcycles start simultaneously from A and B in opposite direction, and the distance between them after 3 hours is 20 km. See, I assume the speeds of these motorcycles to be X and Y. Right? If both of them are coming in the opposite direction, that means the relative speed will be what? Addition of their individual speeds. So that's x plus y. Now, the distance between them after 3 hours is 20 kilometer. What does it mean? That means in 3 hours, they have covered up 230 minus 20. That means 210 kilometers. Just see over here. So this is 20 kilometer. That means this distance plus this distance. That is actually 210 kilometer. So that they have covered jointly, right? That means x speed, that's A is coming from this direction and B is coming from this direction, right? So after 3 hours, the distance between them is 20 kilometer. That means in 3 hours, they might have run for 210 kilometer jointly, right? Both of them together, right? So their relative speed is what? 210 kilometers in 3 hours. That means 70 kilometer per hour, right? Now one of the motorcycle gains 10 kilometer over the other in 1 hour. That means difference in their speeds. When both of them are going in the same direction, the relative speed is what? Difference in their individual speeds, right? So that's x minus y, and that's 10 kilometer 1 hour. That means it's 10, right? Now I assume x is faster and y is slower. Now what I want? X by y, right? If you have to find out x by y, what you can do? Add up both of them. So that's 70 plus 10, 80. To find y, deduct this from this. So that's 60. So this is the ratio of their speeds, 4:3, right? Not much paperwork is required, no more calculation is required. This question should not take more than 20 to 30 seconds to solve. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now friends, we have a set of problems based on Venn diagrams, and you might have attended the basic sessions of Venn diagrams. In a group of athletic team in a school, 21 are in the basketball, 26 in hockey, 29 in football, 14 in hockey and basketball, 12 in football and basketball, 15 this, and 8 play all the 3 games, right? So first of all, what we do? We draw Venn diagram, right? So this is basketball, this is football, and this is hockey. Okay, now we fill up the data, and we will be starting from the center point. That's 8 play all the 3 games. So I write 8 over here, right? Now 15 play hockey and football. So hockey and football, in all there are 15. Out of them 8 is already here. So here it will be 7. I'm directly solving the problems. You must have attended the basic sessions, so you'll be able to understand that easily, right? Now 12 play football and basketball. Football and basketball 12. 8 is already here, so it will be 4, right? 14 play hockey and basketball. So hockey and basketball 14, 8 is here, so it must be 6, right? So that's also done. Now 21 are there in the basketball. So 8 and 6, 14 plus 4, 18. That means 3 must be here to make the total as 21 in the basketball circle, right? After that 26 are there in the hockey. Now 8 and 6, 14, 14 plus 7, 21. So 5 must be here. So this also done. 29 in the football team, 8 and 7, 15 plus 4, 19. That means 10 must be here, right? Now the entire Venn diagram is complete. How many players are there in all? You just add up all the numbers and be getting the answer instantly. 10 plus 5, 15 and 7, 22. 22 plus 4, 26. 26 and 8, 34, 40 and 43, right? So simply you can answer the question. How many play only football? Only football, 10 people. Right? Once you solve the Venn diagram, after that, whatever the number of questions are there, you can answer them instantly. Okay? I hope you are clear. Now, in how many ways can 2, 3, 7 and 6 be arranged in a 4-digit number such that number is divisible by 3 using each digit only once? Now friends, it's a pretty simple problem. You don't have to go for even paperwork. Now what is the divisibility rule of 3? That sum of digits must be divisible by 3. Now in the case of 3, sum of digits must be divisible by 3. Whatever is the order of the digits, that doesn't matter at all, right? So if it is 2376 or maybe 6732, doesn't matter. Whether the sum is divisible by 3 or not, that we have to see. So if we add up all the digits, 2 plus 3, 5 plus 7, 12 and 6, 18, right? 18 is divisible by 3. That means in whatever order 2, 3, 7, 6 are written, every number will be divisible by 3, right? Now how many numbers can we make using 2, 3, 7, 6? Each of them using every digit should be used once only. So in all 4 digits are there, so they can be arranged in 4 factorial ways. Now 4 factorial is what? 24. So in all 24 numbers will be divisible by 3 because sum of the digits will remain same in whatever the order they are written. Okay, so 24 is the correct choice. No need to go for any sort of paperwork. Okay. Now this problem, Ram and Sham walk around two circular paths of 800 meter and 1200 meter at speeds of 10 meter per minute and 8 meter per minute respectively, starting from point A and B respectively. After how long will they simultaneously reach their respective starting points for the first time? Now again a simple problem based on LCM. See, this guy A, he's running around this 800 meter circle, right? And the speed is 10 meter per minute, right? That means to cover up 800 meter, he'll be taking 80 minutes. That means what? After every 80 minutes, he'll be coming at the starting position, right? Now the second person, the circle is 12 meter length, 1200 meter length, and he is walking at 8 meter per minute. That means he'll be taking 150 minute, right? 1200 divided by 8. Okay. That means B will be coming to this position after every 150 minute. A will be coming to this position after every 80 minute. That means both of them simultaneously coming at these positions at the time which is LCM of 80 and 150. Okay. Now I take 0 apart. Then 8 and 50, they are co-prime to each other. So their LCM will be 8 into 15. 15 into 8 is 120. So after 1200 minutes, or we can say 20 hours, they will be coming to these positions. That means starting positions simultaneously. Okay. So a simple problem based on LCM of data. Now let's see this one. N is a positive integer. N plus 3 whole square is divisible by n, the number of possible values of n. Now if I open this up, it will be n square plus 6n plus 9. Now if it is divisible by n, what I can do? I separately divide each of the term by n. Now to make it divisible by n, see we see here it's n square is definitely divisible by n, 6n by n is definitely divisible by n. Now to make the entire expression, that means n plus 3 whole square, to be divisible by n, n should be factor of 9. Obviously, if n is factor of 9, then 9 by that particular factor again will be getting remainder as 0 as here. So if n is a factor of 9, will be getting the remainder as 0, and after that it will be completely divisible by n, obviously. So what are the factors of 9? That's 1, 3 and 9. So n can take 3 values, either 1 or 3 or 9. In all the 3 cases, it will be divisible by n. Okay, so 3 is the correct choice. Just a conceptual question, hardly any paperwork is required. Okay. Now we have a problem from coordinate geometry. How many squares are possible if two vertices are this? Now you can see 1, 0, 2, 0. That means y coordinate is 0. That means both the points are on x coordinate. Suppose this is 1, 0 and this is 2, 0, right? Now we have to find out how many squares are possible. See, in case of square, maybe this is the bottom side. So this is one possibility. Suppose this is upper side, then this is another possibility. Suppose this is diagonal, then this is one more possibility. So in all, using these two vertices, there are 3 possibilities of making the squares. So how many squares are possible? 3, right? But for finding it out, you need not draw this diagram. I have just drawn it for your reference. Otherwise, it's not at all necessary. You should be able to correct that these 2 points are on a line on an x-axis, we can say. So this can be the bottom line, maybe the above top line, or maybe the diagonal of the square. Okay. Now let's see, if n is an integer greater than 2, which of the following has the largest value? Simply nothing to do. Just take a value of n that is greater than 2. Suppose you take 3, right? And quickly solve it rather than to analyze each and every option and eliminating. Just keep on solving, because if you put n is equal to 3, it's very easy to solve, right? Now 1 upon 3 minus 3 square, you will be getting a negative value. Discard it. 1 upon 3 square minus 1. So 1 upon 8 Now 1 upon 3 minus 1, that's 2 square, so that's 1 upon 4 and 1 upon 2, right? So which is the largest? This is the largest, right? No need to analyze, nothing to do. In 15 to 20 seconds, these sort of problems can be solved easily. Okay, so this is the correct choice. I hope you are getting me. Now this question, a number when divided by 800 leaves this remainder. If the same number is divided by 40, what will be the remainder? For any number, n can be written as quotient into divisor plus remainder, right? So this number is, if it is divided by 800, that means divisor is 800, right? Quotient we don't know, I write q. Remainder is 58. That means this is actually the number. Now if this number, that is n, if it is divided by 40, what will be the remainder? That we have to find out, right? So I divide this by 40 and divide this by 40. Now 800 is multiple of 40, so we won't be getting any remainder over here. Doesn't matter whatever the value of q is, right? Because 800 is multiple of 40. So here the remainder is 0, here the remainder is 18. Okay, so what will be the remainder? It's 18. Quite simple problem. Okay. Now, once again, we have a very big story for a very simple small question. A man takes 1 quart of whiskey, that's 250 ml, that contain 30% alcohol. He takes that after dinner, due to which only 35% alcohol is consumed in the blood. If he had taken it before lunch, he would have consumed 55% alcohol in the blood. What is the difference in the quantity of alcohol consumed in the blood in both the cases? Pretty simple question. See, in 250 ml, 30% is alcohol. That means 75 ml is alcohol, right? And what is the difference? That is before and after lunch. That's 35% and 55%. That means 20%, right? So from 75 milliliter of alcohol, 20% is the difference. So what is the 20% of 75 milliliter? That's 15. Pretty simple. No need to go for any paperwork. Okay, so whenever you see a big story, believe me, the problems, the solution will be very simple. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now let's see this problem. A grain merchant purchases 2 varieties of rice, the price of the first kind being twice than that of the second. He mixes the 2 varieties and sells for rupees 28 per kilogram, making a profit of 25%. If the ratio of the first of to the second kind is 2:3 in the mixture, the costlier variety cost. That means these are the options, and in the options the prices of the costlier variety are given. Now friends, you don't need even paper and pen to solve this problem. Listen to me very carefully. By using common sense only you can answer this question. See, we are to find out the price of the costlier variety, right? And we are given the selling price of the mixture, that's 28 per kilogram, right? And while he is selling the mixture at 28 per kilogram, he is making a profit of 25%, right? That means what is the cost price of the mixture? That's 28 is the selling price by CP, and this is actually 5 by 4. That means CP is actually what? Cost price of the mixture is what? 4 by 5 of 28. That's 22.5 rupees per kilogram, right? So that is the cost price of mixture. Getting my point? That means this should be lying between cost price of costlier variety and cheaper variety. Costlier and cheaper, obviously, because the price of the mixture will be obviously between costlier variety and cheaper variety. Okay, now don't do anything, just go through the options because there is none of these, and all the data are very simple to calculate. See, costlier variety, if it is 8 per kilogram, it is not possible because even the mixture is 22.5 rupees per kilogram, right? So costlier variety must be more than this. Wrong. 16, costlier variety should be more than 22 point, I'm sorry, this is 4. So costlier price must be more than 22.4, so even this is wrong. 32, it is possible. Let's see. See, if it is 32, then the cheaper variety must be 16, right? So 22.4 lie between 16 and 32. It's not necessary to be exactly in between because the ratio is different over here, but it is lying between 16 and 32. So this is the correct choice. See, 64 also. If 64 is the costlier variety, then the cheaper variety must be 32. Now 22.4 is actually below than cheaper variety. So even this cannot be the correct option, right? If we have any other option that is lying between one is more than 22.4 and other is less than this, then we have to go for verification. Otherwise, in this among these options, we don't have to go for any sort of cross verification. Simply we can mark the answer 32 rupees per kilogram. Okay, so hardly any paperwork is required. The problem can be solved easily in 20 seconds once you are conceptually clear. Okay. Now, given that n is an integer, what is its value if it satisfies the equation? Now, obviously, you cannot solve this equation. So, what is the alternate that you need to take? That's see, unit digit of the options are unique: 4, 3, 7, and 2. Right? So, what you can do, you can calculate the unit digit of all these numbers and can add up them to get the unit digit, the correct unit digit from where you can get the correct answer. Now, any number when it is raised to fifth power, it ends with itself, right? When 27 raised to 5, 27 is raised to 5, unit digit will be 7 only. Okay, so that's 7. In this case, it is 4. Here it is 0, and here it is 10. So 7 plus 3, 10, and 4, 14. Unit digit will be 4. So this is the correct choice, right? A problem can be done in just 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, don't go for like any formula building and whatever, right? Do not try to make any formula. Pretty simple problem can be done in just 5 to 10 seconds. Okay. Now let's try this problem. 1 upon 2 square minus 1, 3 square, the counting is going till 20 square minus 1. Now this is actually 1 upon 2 minus 1, 2 plus 1, right? So I can say it's 1 into 3. Plus this is 1 upon 2 into 4 plus this is 3 into 5, and the counting is going till 19 square minus 1, that's 19 minus 1, 18 into 19 plus 1, 21, and 1 upon 20 minus 1, I'm sorry, this is 19 square minus 1, that means 19 minus 1 and 19 plus 1. So 18 into 20, and this is 20 minus 1 and 20 plus 1, right? Now alternate terms you can see 1 upon 1, 3, 3, 5, 5, 7, right? And remaining alternate is 2, 4, 4, 6, 6, 8, right? So half of the terms starting from the odd numbers and remaining half of the terms are starting with remaining terms, whatever, whether it is half or not, they are starting with even numbers. Okay, since the last term is 19, that means one term is the number of even term is 1 less than the number of odd terms. Okay, since the first is also odd and the last is also odd. Okay, no problem. Now 1 upon 1 into 3 can be written as, if I multiply the entire sequence by 2 and divide it by 2, right? So what I can do now, this is 1 upon, so this is 2, 2, 2, right? Why I have taken 2, that is the difference between these two digits, 1 and 3, these two numbers. So that's 2, right? After that, what I can do, I can write this as 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 3, right? Then this 1 upon 3 minus 1 upon 5. So this is 1 by 19 minus 1 by 21. Similarly, the remaining sequence 1 upon 2 minus 1 upon 4 plus 1 upon 4 minus 1 upon 6 plus 1 upon 18 minus 1 upon 20. Okay, so you can see alternate terms will be cancelled and you are left with 1 minus 1 upon 21, right? So 1 minus 1 upon 21 is what? 20 by 21. Minus here also the same thing. So you're left with 1 by 2 minus 1 by 20. So 1 by 2 minus 1 by 20 is 18 by 40, or we can say 9 by 20, right? Now just solve it. We have 1 by 2 outside the bracket. So the denominator should be, I just solve it, 400 plus 189, that is 589 by 20 into 2, 40 into 21, that's 840. So 589 by 840 is the correct answer, right? So whenever you see this sort of sum, just break it into a minus b, a plus b format, and you'll be able to see this sort of sequences. After that, multiply and divide the expression by difference between these two numbers. After that, this expression 2 upon 1 into 3 can be simply written as 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 3, right? So that's, if you take LCM, you'll be getting 3 minus 1, that is 2 upon 1 into 3. Okay, so this question will be very easy to solve if you know this technique. Okay, else you cannot solve it, obviously, because you cannot take the LCM of this huge expression. Okay, I hope you are clear. Our friends will be taking more problems in our next workshop. I hope you might have enjoyed, and you are able to solve the problems on your own. And definitely, whatever is the problem that you are not able to solve, you are taking the tips and techniques from the session. You just note it down and just try to go for a quick recap before you attend the next session, right? So this way, gradually you'll be able to improve. Okay. Bye bye.